Hello everyone, I'm Noah Brown, and welcome to the Coach's edition of TommieMedia's The Locker Room. The 7-0 Tommie football team will take on 3-4 Bethel Royals Saturday in Arden Hills. But first we're going to talk strategy with a few of the coaches. I'm joined this week by head coach Glenn Caruso and special teams coordinator Travis Walch. Guys, thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, so Coach Caruso, the last time I spoke to you on this show, you said the team hadn't quite hit its rhythm yet, and last weekend against Hamlin you had 15 penalties. How do you fix that going into Bethel?
Well, there's a lot that goes into rhythm. Certainly having that many penalties is not good, and there's a myriad of factors there, but I do feel like we've hit our stride a little bit more, at least closer to it. And I think the bye week was a big part of that. As far as the penalties go, there's going to be some games where we end up with 3, and there's going to be some games where we end up with more. But however many we had last week was too many.
And Coach Walch, field position is a crucial part of football strategy, and special teams have a tremendous part in that. Do you develop a strategy before the game on how to deal with some of these situations, or do you more respond in game to different special team situations?
We definitely have strategies going into it, and but certainly wind conditions can play a big factor in that. What the other team's going to do can play a big factor in that. And occasionally there are going to be personnel that either becomes more advantageous for us, or personnel that we feel like is becoming a tougher matchup than maybe we anticipated. So it all plays into it, but there's constant adjustments during games while we're going through the special team stuff.
And Coach Caruso, the defense has been steadily improving all season long. What are you focusing on in practice to make sure that this improvement keeps steady?
Well, there's some things that I can talk about and some we won't talk about. But what I can tell you is when we get 11 guys to the football, usually good things happen for us. We have a relatively athletic group of guys, and the more we can get them running to the ball, and not just to make the tackle, but for the situation where the one time out of 20 that ball might end up tipped or on the ground, that we're there. And it just creates kind of a virtuous energy that helps our entire team. And then just being thoughtful, putting ourselves in positions where we're able to mitigate liabilities and play to our strengths. And that's what our staff has been working on and doing a great job with it this season.
Coach Walch, the offense has gotten off to relatively slow starts in the past couple weeks. What kind of pressure does that put on the special teams unit?
I don't think it really does. We like to go in with a game plan of how we think we can attack their punt unit, their block unit. If the offense or defense puts us in a situation that isn't exactly how we've planned it, that's part of our job as a unit, is to go out there and be adjustable and pick up and help where we're not in a great situation at the time. But there may be occasionally a situation, whether it's later in the game and that would happen, where we have to make an adjustment. But for the most part, we stay within our plan and allow the defense and the offense to do the same.
This question will be for both of you. St. Thomas football is synonymous with pride and passion. How do you and your players put these words into work every single day?
I think it's probably more a function of just how you live your life, in my opinion. You either have those things consistently. I think it's inherently impossible to just have those two things sometimes, because then you don't have either. And if you live your life with a common focus of pride and passion, pride in who you get to work with, and passion for our sport and our medium that we get to teach in, it usually carries through, and it's not something that you have to talk about every day because you live it every day.
I would say, one thing I bring up a lot in recruiting into our guys is I look for two things. I look for guys that pay attention to detail and have pride and effort. And if you can do those two things, and as Coach said, live it on a daily basis, it's going to flow it onto the field. And it doesn't matter if it's classroom, social, walking around campus, whatever it might be. I think you find that the same guys are generally our better academic guys are also the guys that float to the top in the depth chart on all sides of the ball.
Coach Caruso, the victory over Hamlin marked your 100th career win as a coach. What's the difference between win 1 and win 100?
99. And it's interesting that Coach Walch is on with me, because we've been together for every single one of those wins. It's those are not mine. Let me be abundantly clear. They're the University of St. Thomas's wins. I just happen to be the person who's the head coach. But I do think it's neat that Coach Walch and I, through two different institutions, and certainly they say, well, how many have you won at each place? And Gene gave me the numbers. It was 6 at McAllister and 94 here at the University of St. Thomas. And I think it shows pride and longevity, and anyone can be good for short spurts. Having true mental toughness and greatness, if we try to achieve that, is something that has to be sustained over time. And the simple fact that our kids are selfless enough and thoughtful enough that in the first 8.5 years they've been able to put up that type of production, I think that insinuates that they have both of those qualities.
We'll be right back after this short message.
Barbers learn the traditional techniques of barbering. We utilize straight edge razors. We do a lot of clipper cuts, a lot of tapering, fading. I've been in this location for 12 years. I have clients that have been cutting their hair since they were 4 years old. Get to have conversations with these kids, and it keeps me on my toes.
Welcome back to the locker room. And now it's time for this week's fan question. Coaches, former Tommy football player Trace Adams wants to know, who or what inspired you to become a football coach?
My dad, without a doubt. He's the one who helped me understand that our goal in life is not necessarily to have this job or that. It's to find a job that you're in love with, that you're passionate about, and that you can attack every day. And then quite literally, he was the one that convinced me, instead of going into law, which is what my intention was, going to college, to go into coaching and to move out to the Midwest to do so. But I also have to say, and it's interesting that came from Trace, what continues to inspire me on a daily basis are the kids that we get to coach, like Trace and all those other kids. It's pretty awesome.
I think I knew at a young age. I loved organizing things around sports and spent an amazing amount of time, whether it's in the schoolyard in kindergarten, organizing guys in football, or in our own backyard with my brothers. So I knew I wanted to be involved in sports. And then I think what really maybe had changed is I really thought I was going to be a basketball coach. And although I played football, I spent 2 years of my college career coaching basketball. And it really didn't matter the sport. So many coaches have influenced. One of my favorite was a high school baseball coach of mine, Jarvis Anderson, who's legendary in the state. But when it came down to it, my best sport was always football, and it was the sport that opened the door for me to become a coach. And Coach Sawyer, I was fortunate enough, the head coach down at Winona State, to give me my first opportunity as a 21-year-old, much like Coach Caruso, very, very young when he got started in college. And there's been no reason to do anything else since then.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
If you have a fan question, tweet it to @TommieMedia. That's all the time we have for today on The Locker Room. Thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Yes.
Right. Be sure to check TommieMedia.com on Saturday for full game day coverage. With Coach Caruso and Coach Walch, I'm Noah Brown. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time here in The Locker Room.